I'm going to look at very briefly tonight a couple of other things I found in mesh files on editing rather than converting them all to bodies, some of which may prove useful, some may not. It just seems to me over the past weeks that editing is one option open to us, depending upon whether we want a quick fix or a more long-winded fix. And what I'm looking at tonight is a couple of ideas to do quick fixes rather than convert complicated bodies, etc., etc. And I'm sure as these Sunday nights go by over the next few weeks or so, we'll get more information on STLs and what we can and can't do with them. So let's first of all insert an STL. And we insert the STL, or I insert it by going to here and down to insert mesh. And then it's on the computer. And the one I want to insert, I think, is that one. Now, having inserted the STL file, before we click OK, we need to make sure we got it in the right position. So one of these things to do is to make sure your origin up here is switched on, because then you can see the origin lines there. Because what you've got over here are a couple of buttons. One is to center it and one is to move to ground. They both don't work together. If you center it, let me just go on the front view. If you center it, it will center it like that in the center, as it were, with the ground plane. So this ground plane will be up in the middle. If you move to ground, which is what I want to do, because I want the ground of the model on the ground plane. And therefore, if we go back and have a closer look now, zoom in, you can see there where the bottom of the model is on the ground plane, which is what I want. Otherwise, it gets a bit complicated later on. So there's our STL file in our workspace. Now, it's only a small block that I designed for the purposes of the exercise that I want to run through with you. One of the things I want to do is increase these hole sizes. Now, if I could get I thought, well, if I can get a plane on this boss, then I can sketch on it and punch another hole through. That didn't work, and I soon realized that bodies and meshes don't work together in that way, and even if I drew something on there, the body wouldn't, the mesh wouldn't respond to it and link with the body. So first of all, let's work out how we can actually draw a larger circle there from what we can build. So the first thing we need to create is a plane that's on this face here, if you like. Unfortunately, with an STL, as you say, the minute you move over it, the entire file lights up. But I want to get a plane on this face. Now, the issue here is the ground plane. If I just turn that off, there's my ground plane. To be able to create an offset plane at this position, I need to work out how far up to do that. So this is where the measurement tool comes in first, to measure the height of this boss. So we click on measure. Now, with an STL, you can't connect to edges like you can on a body. But what you can do is you click on the top one, anywhere you like, it doesn't matter. You then move the model round and click on the bottom somewhere, and you get a measurement of 5.477. Now, if we look at that, we can see, well, that's not what I want. I want the measurement down here. Now, in the measurement command over here, you have 3 or 4 options for the XYZ measurements. And if we pick the last one and click on it, it creates a triangle. So the measurement that we made between the 2 points is there, but it also gives us the true measurement that I'm looking for of the height of that boss above the ground plane, 5 millimeters. So we can close that down. Now I know what I want. The next stage now is to create that offset plane. And we've done these in the past tutorials that we've done with Malcolm. So it's offset plane, and it's an offset plane, from this ground plane there, and we want to go up 5 millimeters. Now, the difficulty there, the plane's in there somewhere. Let's turn the body off. There's the plane there. But it would be good, I don't think we've covered this, I'm not sure. It would be good to have the plane out here where we can see it. So what we can do is, if we go in on a plane, it doesn't apply to your origins, but if you go on a plane that you've made and you hover, the edge goes green. When it goes green, you can grab it, hopefully, and pull it out. And you can do it the other way as well, but one way is enough for what I want. So you can see now I can now get at the plane. Next stage now is to create my sketch. So what I'm going to do with this is to go into mesh, and we're going to create a mesh section sketch. And that asks us to select the body first, which is that one. And then we're going to select the plane, which is that one. And you can see what's happened. It's created a sketch on that plane of what it's found on there. Now we're going to go in and edit that sketch. So the answer therefore is you've got the sketches up here now as normal. That's the sketch in question, mesh section. Go on it and edit sketch. Now I want to make this hole larger, but I move my mouse over, nothing happens, it's not there. So what I've got to do is, if I go up to create and come down to fit curves to mesh section, click on that, I got a dialog box that comes up, which straight line, arc, polyline, closed spline, circle and ellipse. And I want to use the circle for this, so I click on the circle, then I come down, and I've now got a circle with a center point. I found the center point of that circle. If I go back, you can see that I can't find the center point. So what I do, use that one to come down. Oops. Let me go back in and do that again. Create, fit curves to mesh, choose the center and the circle. I can now go into my center diameter thing, and I can create my new size hole. Now the original holes were 6mm. I want to create one at, let's say, 8mm. Okay. Now I'm going to sort of miss a bit out, as it were, but come back to it, because otherwise if I do it fully this way, it'll take too long. What you have to do also is create an inner circle. The reason for that, which you'll see later on, when I use this piece here then to take away from the body, it could end up leaving fringe, thin wafers around this edge, which is the difference between the edge of this solid body I'm making and the actual mesh. So what we do is we shove in, it really doesn't matter, any old size in there like so. We can then finish the sketch. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to go into solid mode, and we're going to go click, and we're going to extrude it, and we can extrude it and nothing's happening. If we go into cut, it won't cut because it can't find a body to cut, because of course it's set in a mesh. So what we're going to do is highlight that one and highlight that one, and we're going to extrude, and we're going to make them a solid body. And we know it's 5mm for this web, so it's -5mm, and there's our new body. Now what we've got the original body, which is this one here, which is a mesh body, and in there you notice we've got a solid body and an overlap period of area. Now what we can do, and the only way we can do this, is that we can combine it by taking that from that. But we can't combine or subtract it until we've got them both in the same format. So what we therefore do is we highlight the body, which is that one there that we've just made. We go back into mesh. We hit that command there, which is down here. Where's it gone? Tessellate. And that converts the solid body into a mesh. And I always leave it on medium. That's a mesh in there now and a mesh here. And what we can do now is we can go up to the combine command. We can select the target body, which is that. We can select the mesh body. Oh, what have I done wrong? Let me back up a minute. Is that... Oh, that's... Why has that not worked? Let me go back to combine command a minute. Combine. Target is there. Select test body, which is that one. That's better. And then on here you can see you got join. That's if you were adding a part. You got intersect. And the one that we're going to use is the cut. The end one is to merge. So we click on the cut one, which is there. And then we come down to OK. And it'll take a moment or so. And you can see now we've taken that hole. Let's take off the sketches so you can see it. So you can see that hole now is the size that we want. Larger than the others. Now, what I went through with this hole, you could, of course, at sketch mode, do all 4 holes. I didn't see the point in showing you how to do 4 holes and just wasting more time in that sense. But it's the same technique. And then when you've got, say, your 4 new plug bodies, if you like, in position, you would convert all 4 of those into a mesh with this tessellate command. And then you would use the modify, because when you use the modify command, if you notice on that one, you can select a body and then you can select as many tool bodies as you like. I'm not going to go into these commands down here. We can save that for a more advanced day. So that's taken where we've added a bit here. Now, if we wanted to put something, say, build up here, then again, we can do the same thing. So we need a plane up here. So again, we need to measure. So it's measure, click on there, click on the underneath somewhere, go into a view where you can see what you're doing here. Where are we? Whoops. Let's do that again. I missed it. Onto the bottom, onto the top. That's no good because the thing's in the way, innit? Let's do that one again. Let's be sensible. Let's wake up. There. And then go into a mode where you can see what you're doing. And we know what we can see. It's an angle. If we click on that right hand one there, we get the true width, which is 13.448, which I should write down because we need to know that. Don't know why I didn't design this at 15 millimeters. Close that. And again, now we're back to an offset. Construct our offset plane. And we're going, the offset plane is from the ground plane. And we want to bring it, well, wrong plane, sorry. We'll get there. Let's turn the body off. Construct from that plane. And we want to construct an offset plane. And we want it 14.448. And we'll put the body back on so it's on the top. And again, this is hanging over nicely, but remember, should you need to enlarge it, you go up the end and you can enlarge it. Whilst the plane is infinite in either X or Y direction, when you're actually drawing, sometimes you need the plane bigger to see exactly where it is, as it were. And that command is handy for that. So we're going to draw on that. Now we're back up here, create mesh section. And we're going to choose the body, which is that one. And we're going to choose the plane, which is that one. And it's not drawing anything there. And the reason why it's not drawing anything there, look, is because there's a gap on my plane. So let's pull the plane down a bit. Let's take that off. Let's go back into our construction and edit our plane, edit feature, and let's pull it down. And I'll pull it down just inside, just so you can see what we're doing, because the plane has to be spot on or just under, otherwise it can't pick up the geometry. Cancel that one. I didn't move it, did I? Idiot. Edit feature again. Let's pull it down. Right. Oops. I'm doing it by eye. Obviously you can type in the actual measurements if you want to. I'm doing it by eye purely to make it a bit quicker. So what we're going to do now is, I say, go back to create a section, create a mesh section. That's the body and that's the plane. And you can see now we've got the section that we need. Okay? Now we can draw on this section. So suppose for the sake of argument, we want to do something in here. So we're going to go in now, we're going to go back to solid and come down here to our sketch, which is sketch 3. This is where labeling does come in handy, but for the purposes I'm not going to bother. Edit sketch, edit sketch. I can now go in, let's turn off the plane so we can see what we're doing. And now again, create, fit curves. If I do the straight line one, then I can start. Now I can't pick up the lines, because of course this sketch was momentarily below the body. So let's switch off the body. And then you can start picking up the lines. So you can add them to what you want. And then you can draw on that sketch what you want to draw on it. So let's just draw something on it. We're in the sketch mode. Let's turn off the body for a moment. And I might want to add something up here. So we'll just put in another hexagon for the sake of the demonstration. And we want that to go all the way through. So highlight it, switch the body back on. And of course, when we go all the way through, I can't cut. Because if you remember, that's a body, this is a mesh. But what we can do is that we can actually make it solid. So it's a new body. Okay. Then we go back up. Let's go on this type of easier. We go back up to our mesh command. As I say, we highlight that body. There. We convert it to a mesh. There. We can then go back into the modify command, the combine command. Choose the body, select the mesh, which if we can get at, which is going to be that one. Select mesh there, okay, and cut it. And give it a few seconds to work, and we've cut the hole. Now if we were filling a hole in, and as you can see, the reason it's not come all the way is because, as I said, I didn't bother to spend time getting this plane spot on. So it's slightly below the surface of the mesh. So hopefully you can follow that and you can work that out separately for yourself later on, rather than me go back and try and get it spot on. If you were adding stuff to it, it's the same technique with the combine command or the modify command, and you're adding it and joining it rather than subtracting it. One more little thing before I stop and give you all a chance to get in, as it were. I want to make a hole. Oops. If I can get there. Let's turn off some of these sketches a moment. I want to make a hole in this curved place, curved end here. And I thought, how am I going to draw a hole in there now? Bearing in mind it's a mesh, it's not a body. And even if it's a body, it's awkward. Now, if it was a body, I suppose I could create a tangent plane off this edge of this lip, as it were, and project onto that surface. But I can't do that because it's a mesh. So I thought, how can I do this? So what I came up with, and it's an example, not that you want a hole here, but it perhaps gives you an idea for other things. Let's switch that top sketch back on again. And let's go into sketch. And let's edit that sketch. Well, wrong one, sorry, hang on a minute. Let's finish it, wrong one. It's that sketch there, isn't it, I think? Edit the sketch. No, wrong one. We'll get there. Must be that one. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw a line, freehand. I mean, you can do it more accurately. I'm going to go from there to there. And then I'm going to come out the sketch and go back to here. Now the next stage is construct, and we're going to put a plane at an angle. So we put a plane and we pick the line, and the plane, let's put the planes on. The plane is there. Now I don't want the plane next. I want a plane that's upright, if you like, so I can draw a hole through there. So I'm going to move that through 90 degrees. Whoops. 90. And okay. I can then go, now, if I wanted to get it in the center, what I could do now is to go and edit that plane. So we'll edit that plane. And I want the hole in the center. So we got the line there. So if I go into construction mode there and come across, and where's it gone? I've lost the line now. There, center line, and drop down. I've got a marker now I can draw on, so we go back into edit the sketch. Whoops, wrong one. Where are we? That one. Yeah. Is it that one? It's that one. I've lost that sketch, haven't I? Where's it gone? No. Excuse me a minute while I find out which sketch it was. You really should name sketches and you'd be all right. It's that one. Right, there's the sketch. So I can now create my circle, and I'm just going to put it on that center line there. You can imagine now you can measure how far up you want it from these edges and in from the edges, up to you. But I'm showing you the principle rather than the sizes. And we're going to make a hole there, like so. And then the technique that we've used before is that we highlight the hole and we extrude it as far, we'll go right through to the other side and create a new body. And then we need to mesh it. So it's up to the mesh command again, onto there, select the body, okay to mesh it, up to the modify command, select the body, select the tool, which is, where's it gone? Yeah, that one. Do that again, modify, target, tool, there, and we're going to cut it. And there's our hole through. Obviously, because it was done quickly, we've also got the reduction or the curve in the bottom of the hexagon bit, because we just punched it through any old how. As I say, this little session on this was to give you some ideas of how you can edit a mesh file without converting the whole thing. And you can see, create your sketches of the original in the way that we showed you there. and therefore you can extend it. If you wanted to make this hole deeper, then you could take that top sketch that had those dimensions on, overlay that with a real body sketch, as it were, create a body, make the body, don't forget to make the body properly, don't try and cut it, and then you combine, you convert that solid body to a mesh, and then you, using the modify command, to combine one mesh with another mesh, by merging, by joining, or by subtracting.